We'll move on the conversation after bringing you the headlines. It's now time to delve into what the stories really are, go behind the headlines and bring you some insights to the conversations. We'll start off with the National Service Authority, right? They've been in the news a lot. I'm referring to the previous handlers under the erstwhile New Patriotic Party administration. Yesterday was a busy day in court for them. The Daily Guide newspaper is reporting that on the NSA scandal, the Attorney General hits Osei Asibe with 7 more charges, and also Gifty Owari has been opposing the witness list order. So I'll just read excerpts of the story, then I'll get my guest to respond to some of the issues being raised. So the National Service Authority scandal, AG hits Osei Asibe with 7 more charges. A story by Jibril Abdul Razak. The Attorney General has increased the charges against the embattled former Executive Director of the National Service Authority, Osei Asibe, with 7 new charges, bringing the total to 21, following an amendment to the charge sheet. Mr. Asibe Entry, who is now being accused of stealing from the state during his tenure at the NSA, as well as causing financial loss to the state, all totaling in excess of 500 million Ghana cedis between August 2021 and February 2025. The former Chief Executive Officer of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has been charged with 6 counts of causing financial loss to the state, 9 counts of stealing, 1 count of money laundering, and 5 counts of improper payments of public funds. He pleaded guilty to all the charges, and his lawyers prayed the court to grant him bail pending trial. So the story goes on and on and on. And the Deputy Director, they serve together. Story by Jibril Abdul Razak, and the headline is Gifty Owari opposes witness list order. So the former Executive Deputy Director of the National Service Authority, Gifty Owari Mensah, has asked the High Court in Accra, trying her for causing financial loss to the state, to stay proceedings as she pursues an interlocutory appeal against its order on her to file a list of names and addresses of witnesses she will call in defense should the need arise. According to her, this order, which was given pursuant to the practice direction of the case management, is inconsistent with the provisions of the 1992 Constitution, which presumes her innocent until proven guilty. The story goes on to say her lawyer, Gary Nimakomafo, who moved the motion before the court yesterday, argued that a constitutional presumption of innocence, as provided in Article 9(2)(c) of the 1992 Constitution, is sacrosanct and cannot be ignored. So these are the big stories. Of course, during last week Friday's State of the Nation address, we also had a precedent on oral. We do know that this case is one of the key cases under government's Operation Recover or Loot flagship anti-corruption drive, you can say. And so we'll be following keenly, and my guest would help me do that. I have joining me in studio the former Member of Parliament for Anya Sotum, Dr. Dixon Adomakon. Good morning, Doc, and welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
I hope you are well.
I'm doing very well.
Yeah.
Thanks to good sleep.
You know, you're looking hale and hearty, really, and I'm grateful that you could join us.
Yeah.
Right. So the big conversation, oral, it's something a lot of members of your party have come out to speak on. In fact, I've heard John Boydu even say, a former general secretary of your party, say that after over 14 months in government, the administration is yet to even recover 100 cedis, right? And we had concerns about how 21 billion, was mentioned as part of the initial analysis of the very first committee for, involving the likes of Dom Level, Martin Pebu, now the Foreign Affairs Minister, Kujeto Ablakwa. What will be your initial reactions to the ongoing developments on the National Service Authority scandal?
Well, first of all, let me admit that any of these scandals are troubling for democracy as a whole. And considering the Financial Management Act that was passed during the Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo administration, it's a bit surprising that such one, accusations can be leveled against people, and more importantly, I think that based on past events, I'm very skeptical when scandals are raised. And I've always been citing the Airbus situation where we thought we were hanging
The former president,
then
former president,
and now president of the country. And I think that is unfortunate how he was, you know, labeled as guilty. And then eventually news broke out on many fronts that what we thought was not the case. And I can also cite the likes of Opuni, Cocoa Board, which I thought 2 months after winning 2016 election, he would have been literally jailed. I mean, I'm just using these as, examples. Or the almighty Wyoming case, in all fairness, I think that many things don't seem as they really are. And I will be very cautious in passing judgment or comments about some of these cases. Invariably, one thing is quite clear to me, that Oral was, one, exaggerated, very unfair to the political class in this country. And to some extent, I can almost say that the Attorney General summed it up nicely, that there were errors made in the assumptions when they, started Oral.
The
initial committee. And that some of the numbers had not been thoroughly examined, and some of the accusations were not necessarily ferreted and double checked if they would stand the test of time. And I think that what is very clear to me is that one, we politicize a lot of things, and unfortunately, in the interest of selling a story of MPP being corrupt, some of these cases were over bloated, figures inflated. And I also speak from my experience with the Public Account Committee. And I always say that the media is always quiet on the after, review, where we realize that the quantums that are mentioned, 15 billion, are not necessarily 15 billion, but in all of them are some of the, very well placed structures that have not been completed, but are considered as, financial loss to the state because the projects have not been completed either on time. But when you go there, the brick and mortar is there. So in many instances, it's unfortunate how we either underreport the good news or how we blow up numbers without going into detail. Because I would borrow from my public account experience where, for instance, you'd go into an issue only to recognize that there were maybe management exit, resolutions which were not well captured, or documentations that were not readily available, but the work had been done. And I think that in all of this, one of our challenges in this country largely is record keeping. And I think that the only thing that may come out of this is, sort of a warning to current CEOs and future CEOs in how they conduct business. And I think that also some of these things are administrative lapses that needs to be looked at carefully. In the sense that a few that I had heard, were not necessarily lost to the state, but sometimes, single sourcing, but the work was actually done. So it's a bit, some are technical in nature, but overall, I think that when it's all done, we will either come to that realization that, listen, they may have either overbought, in some instances, actual properties of the NSS, and or somebody feels that maybe some of the softwares were overly charged, as in the case of like the Ghana Health Services,
Interesting.
and in fact, I don't want to be difficult, but I think that National Service Secretariat, whether in MPP or NDC times, have always been.
The ghost names issue has
I mean,
been
it's
around
always
for some
been
time.
there, and I would plead with the NDC. I remember some other characters in the NDC in the 2000s and 2012-ish were also hanged for wrong reasons. When eventually, I remember, I think the Domiabra former MP, what's her name? A beautiful woman, Sufaya. Sufaya was literally implicated only for exoneration to come when they did
Interesting.
the digging. So I want us to have this in hindsight,
Interesting.
where unfortunately people in the line of doing governmental work are literally bastardized, and sometimes you cannot ever even recover
From the reputational damage.
And I stand in the shoes of the likes of the Opunis, the John Dramani Mahamas of this country, who somehow, in the line of trying to quadruple check plain situations, were put on the burner and roasted.
Good morning.
Roasted, and shall I say, charred.
Thank you very much, Doc.
Burnt.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Larry Dogbe. He's the editor for the Herald newspaper. Dr. Dixon Adomako raises interesting points. He says sometimes it's not really as it is in terms of what is reported in the news, and that sometimes you also need to hasten slowly, even as justice or the wheels of justice grinds. In fact, it was the president who said that, he quoted Atamios and said that indeed the wheels grind, but it takes time, The president also on Friday announced during the State of the Nation that 600 million Ghana cedis had been recovered. He also mentioned that 29 luxury vehicles had also been seized upon investigation, clearly to point to the fact that some work is being done. What will be your assessment of the Operation Recover All Loot flagship promise by the NDC?
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I almost lost my voice. But did the president mention that it was the recovery is from politicians?
He didn't specify where the money is coming
Okay,
from.
how about the luxury cars?
I don't think he gave the details of that either as well.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's revealing. Okay. Sometimes State of the Nation addresses, they only state, some of these points without going into details as to whether or not it was recovered from you, me, or him. So we...
Certainly not me, please.
Well noted. So then we would have to, maybe as journalists, we would have to go and be seeking for the details as to who did what, when and how. So, I mean, I would want to leave it at that. But I'm mindful of the fact that I think the Attorney General also had come out to say that a certain figure that was mentioned
Was erroneous.
yes, and that it was coming from, another member. I think that is the chairman of the committee, Okujeto Ablakwa.
Yeah.
That is also equally revealing. But I think that we should just go beyond, the headline to seeking details. Okay. Now, what that does is that we get to know, the individuals involved. Okay? Beyond that, we punish. Okay? Yes, because if you don't punish, you don't deter others. If you don't know the details and put their names out there for their, children, spouses, and other relatives to see, we don't deter others. See, you talk to a lot of people, within the political divide, and they tell you that the state of MPP now, it's such that you have to punish even people who did one thing or the other, such that the party will look credible, that you are weeding out some of the bad nuts from the system. And I will tell you also that people hadn't been happy with this thing where, some people during trial, the trial was truncated because there's a change of government. The others who feel that, listen, let the process, go through.
Right. Are you referring to like party members of the ruling government?
Former finance minister.
Okay, so
Before,
for example, the before case, the Ato Forcing case, and okay, cases involving current members of.
But much earlier, even you remember a lot of ministers under President Kufuor were being prosecuted. Were being prosecuted under President Mills and then President Mahama, and then when President Akufo-Addo came, that was the end of those trials. The difference between the NDC and then the MPP was that the NDC one, they issued a statement. You had the Attorney General talk about it. But in the case of the MPP, the Richard Ananis, the Kojo Mpienings, and so on and so forth, there wasn't any statement. The trial just ended midway, that was the end.
No accountability.
Well, yeah, no accountability, as it were. I subscribe to the school of thought that if you had, sworn an oath to do A, B, C, D, okay, and there is a time where your stewardship is being questioned, you need to step out boldly to say that, listen, this is what I did, and I did it in all good conscience. You get it? I agree with him to a large extent that some of the charges that people are slapped with, and I take a cue from Dr. Opuni's cue. I was in court, a couple of times, and the bit about money laundering was completely missing. Meanwhile, it was part of the charges.
It never came up in
court. No, never came up. And no witness whatsoever. The state did not produce one witness that said that this amount of money was shipped. Yes, was wired out of the country. But then it was part of the charges. You get it? I've sat on this program many times and, told you that, not you, I mentioned that people feel that the charges that the state is slapping with some of these, should I say, accused persons, sometimes they are outrageous, 70-something, 100 and something, all that and so on. And that, how many, do you know?
Because on the National Service Authority one, we are being told that Osei Asibe, who is the former director, has been charged with 7 more, bringing the total to 21 charges.
Yeah. 21. The others who are answering 72. Others are answering 100 and something plus. There's a point. You talk to some Supreme Court judges who say that, listen, all you need sometimes is just 3 or 4 charges. In any case, some of this, even if you are to imprison, they are going to run concurrently anyway. So just make it easier for yourself.
So present your strongest case.
Exactly.
And get the courts to look into the issues.
Exactly.
When you do 71, it takes 71 times X number of days
to prove all of it. You take so long to prove it. So just use something, 1 or 2, 3 or 4, off you go. Okay? Because you want somebody to answer to, that mandate you gave him. You get it? But it's becoming one too many. And how long ago were these charges, slapped on these individuals. Okay? And now, a year or so, or a year plus, we are being told that the charges are being reviewed. So who put it out in the first place? Okay? The one that they were, the previous one, how did they arrive at that? Is it a case where somebody felt that, oh, whatever we have now is not sustainable and that's something else? I don't want to talk about incompetence, but this, I mean,
It smacks of it.
I
feel you.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have to say to cynics, or let me say critics, who feel that the political class will take care of itself, right? And if it was someone else, would have seen
like a goat thief.
It was a goat thief somewhere.
Or a plantain.
I saw
plantain stealer.
We reviewed a story in one of the newspapers, I think last week, where a bushmeat hunter had been jailed for entering into unapproved areas in some forests, right? But we see what's happening with regards to galamsey.
No, but that's not to say that there's no punishment for that. There's a punishment for that. And once it's unlawful, it's unlawful.
But the point is that the extent of damage by a galamseya and that of a bushmeat hunter, and to think that the court would go through the whole process, give judgment, and we are yet to see any kingpin, properly jailed, so to speak. What do you have to say to cynics who feel the judicial or justice delivery also need to take some of the responsibility?
So, I mean, in the case of the hunter, I mean,
that was just an example.
That's an offense. And then the galamsey guy is also an offense. And they carry various weights.
But some are more, they are, all are not the same.
Oh, well, once it's an offense, they might not be, they might not be the same.
I wanted to, just...
When is not your time?
No, I just wanted to say that even in the case of some of the vehicles, I remember that during our
era, luxury vehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
If you are a director for roads and highway in Accra and you are transferred to Takrady, and you take the vehicle to Takrady to work, government considered it as stolen. And I thought it was ridiculous. So in some of these instances, you'll be surprised to even know, when we go in total, you'll be surprised that these vehicles were probably within the system or car pool for various offices, and has been, as it is, labeled as stolen. And that is why sometimes you might not have, necessarily...
Yeah, but that is the role.
So these are some of the...
That's the role of the transport managers.
The fleet managers.
Exactly. I mean, various institutions are supposed to have,
or former CEO may have kept the car for a bit.
In the case of the Cocoa Board guy.
Opuni.
No, not Opuni. I hear Opuni, he handed over his car straight up, even though he was to buy it. He said he wasn't interested, so he handed it over. But then in the case of Edu, he drove it away, wanting to buy it. But then they couldn't agree or something. Or he was supposed to write to the board for the board to approve, and then the amount.
So some of these things are not.
But he took it away a year after, I think over 13 months or so later, before the car was sneaked back into the institution. And that, for instance, BNI even had to call him before the car was brought back. A thing like that, sits in line.
So they would now target as part of the luxury vehicles.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just telling you how all these numbers have been captured. But when you go into the stories, then you'd realize that, quote unquote, there's governmental delays. And then, mind you, sometimes they are very careful. They want to be sure where the car is going. Because I can't release the car in traffic only for government to come back to me.
You are not supposed to drive it away in the first place.
I'm just being, and I'm saying traffic, but some of these things are packed in people's
homes, wherever,
houses or whatever. Because sometimes, for instance, unfortunately, when BNI comes to pick, it's a whole different process than when Cocoa Board itself comes to pick. And how do you vouch for where the car really is? When one party, unfortunately, 3 parties are investigating you. So I'm just saying that these are
our challenge
some of
as
the
a people
unfortunate
is that
bits,
we don't punish. The people who are supposed to be punished, we don't punish them.
Is that a problem with our justice delivery system?
It's not about the justice
culture.
It's not about the justice delivery. Yeah, the culture.
It's cultural.
Yeah, exactly. It's what you put before the judge that he gets to rule on.
correct.
Okay? So you can't blame the judge, I mean, to that extent.
So
you
our
can't
prosecution.
You can't even blame the prosecutor.
So who the
the investigator.
The
It
investigator.
runs all through. But again, there's a political system. Okay, the political class, like you rightly pointed out, they forgive each other. See, let me tell you.
To some extent.
And I mean, this is a personal matter. I've sat in my office where I've had people from, the two, political, whatever, divide, the major ones. They'll call you, oh, you know something? This guy, he's my friend, oh. Yeah, this guy. Then they start tracing their marital status, their family, whatever tree. They will tell you about, where the schools that they went to. I went to in private school. Dixon, which school did you go to?
St. Peter's.
Okay, sure. In Kotia, he went to St. Peter's.
Like the chief of staff and the former president's son.
Yeah.
Julius Debra said that he was a school father to former
Kofi
President Kufuor's son.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of relationships you are talking about?
I mean, relationships run deep. Okay?
I haven't seen that in my life.
You lie. Stop lying.
Oh no, I mean,
but nobody even asked you if you have seen one.
no, I mean, what I'm saying is that it's not necessarily the case across board. There are a few instances.
No, I mean, that is just a school
But
thing.
is it pronounced?
It is.
The
It is.
relationship at the top.
It is. It is. It is.
All right.
It is. It is.
If
It
you
runs
say so.
deep.
So the political class will take care of themselves.
Oh, they will. They will.
I won't sit here and agree.
You won't because you're a politician.
I feel Markin is crying that in opposition, people he called before are not picking his calls. So let me tell you.
No,
that
he
it's
says
not
business
necessarily so.
people. He says business
But
people.
I mean,
No, he says business people.
Not just business.
He says business people.
very-
He didn't say the political,
You
yeah.
almost want me to tell you stories of being.
If you have the story, you can say.
you want me to tell you stories.
If you have the story, you can say.
People you could have breakfast with.
Yeah.
Now you can't reach them.
Why?
Okay, so when you say that the political class takes
And these
care
are
of themselves-
politicians you are talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
you know
but-
my passport situation. I think I've told you before.
No, you haven't.
Okay, I dare not say. I don't know. No, I'm just saying that it's not necessarily the case.
No, I mean,
Trust
see,
me.
well, say that to yourself.
Trust
but
me,
listen,
trust me.
I'm telling you that, listen, they could call to beg for each other. Okay? They could call to beg for each other.
But
They could even, trace it even to the football teams that they support and tell you that, listen, we are connected one way or the other. I mean, to a point where even church pastors would even intervene. There's a certain nana in this country, and when that nana calls, begging for an individual, you are in trouble. You need to forgive.
But that is not church. That is traditional.
Oh, I'm just telling you about the link.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
I'm just telling you about the link and how deep it runs.
Okay.
Okay? Where people are helpless. People are helpless. You get it?
And the ordinary person doesn't get the same privileges.
Sometimes it's not about who you know or is it whom you know.
It's who knows you.
Yeah, who knows you.
Like your point has been well made. I'll give Lamtig the final word. Welcome to the show. I love your smoke, by the way. Very
Today is
beautiful.
not Wednesday though, but it's okay.
Yeah. And the colors are
We're
interesting.
okay with it.
The colors are interesting.
Good morning to you and good morning to your listeners.
Amazing.
I can't wait for Wednesdays. So my Wednesday starts on a Tuesday.
Yeah. I like that. Lamtig, you have the final word. We are discussing oral.
Yes.
Actually, the National Service Authority scandal. Oral dominated the conversation, and rightly so. I don't know what your thoughts are. Have we seen enough from government 14 months into the flagship anti-corruption, campaign promise?
Well, I must admit that to some extent, expectations were very high as far as oral is concerned. And there was an impression that we created in the minds of people that immediately the government takes over, we'll see active prosecution and some, in fact, sentencing and people going to jail by now and being punished. And don't forget that oral is not just about punishment, also about recovering the loot.
Yeah.
And so expect that the amounts of that was put out there by now would have been recovering some amount of money out, but unfortunately we are not seeing it. But that also because we do not take into consideration certain systematic bottlenecks that we need to take care of. I mean, you can't just go arrest people, take them to court the next day, and then the next following day they find themselves in the in Sawam. Naturally, they have to go through processes. Sawam resonates better than Ankafo. So yeah, and so you naturally would expect that some people would, and because most people don't understand the legal processes very well, they think that, oh no, once you say you have evidence, then it means the next day you should find people in jail, and the next moment you should be recovering some monies. It takes time, it takes processes. Don't forget that the initial committee work is not an investigative process that can lead to prosecution. The evidence and the whatever was derived are what you may call leaks that will lead you into getting concrete evidence that can stand the test of prosecution. Perhaps, yes. And some of them too are based on perceptions and what have been heard. Now, the investigation will rather unravel what can lead to prosecution and possibly what can help the Attorney General to derive some amount of recoveries of what has been perceived as looted. And so we expect that some bottlenecks will face some bottlenecks. But as it stands now, I can have some glimpse of hope that the Attorney General is up and doing. I mean, we've seen some bills being sent to Parliament, particularly in respect of the tribunals, that they're bringing back the tribunals, which will perhaps be quicker and faster and dedicated to particularly prosecution of some of these cases. Oh yes, it has to always be in the future. No, but respective inspect of crimes that are alleged to have been committed. Don't forget that the tribunal is not set up as the basis to establish crime. It is a forum for the prosecution of crimes that is alleged to have been committed. And so once the crimes have been committed, then the tribunals can go ahead to prosecute. And if they are able to establish the crimes against the alleged persons, why not? So be it. But of course, we all know that the entire system has its own issues. And mind you, legal processes run very slowly. I mean, accused persons have rights to challenge certain procedural errors. They have right to even challenge the laws that have been used to prosecute them. And that is why we've seen that my learned friend Gary Nemako is challenging some issues regarding the witnesses that have been called in this case of his case. Exactly. And don't be surprised that we are don't be surprised that we are having amendments of the charge sheet and introducing new charges. Sometimes in the course of the case, things come up that will require the Attorney General to adjust or perhaps drop some charges, amend some charges, add new charges that would help him to prosecute his case. So it is not strange and it's not out of place at all to have the Attorney General amend the charges and then as the case progresses.
Amazing.
But after a year into the trial?
Oh, it doesn't really matter. In fact, sometimes in some very rare cases, even the day before judgment, if new facts come to the attention of the Attorney General, he could withdraw the charge sheet and amend the charge sheet.
Interesting.
Yes.
Lamtik, thank you very much for that addition to the conversation.
Case.
Okay.
Yeah, Gregory Afoko rather, sorry.
We'll move on the conversation, and that'll be it for the conversation around ORAL, the National Service Authority. And we'll now delve into the Middle East, right? Tensions are escalating. Yesterday it came to the fore when U.S. President was engaging journalists. He said that the war would be ending soon. And some analysts are reporting marginal dips in terms of oil prices. Yesterday on the Point of View on ChannelOne TV, Bernard Avles spoke to an economic policy analyst, Senyo Usi, who said that he doesn't expect any fuel shortage, I beg your pardon. And of course, Comac have also been speaking on radio yesterday. Seaboard also spoke. In fact, the energy ministry, Yusuf Suleimana, who works with the ministry, also said that government was working to increase, the barrels we produce at all from about 25,000 to 45,000 a day. And all of that is to safeguard, our fuel security. So I'll start off the conversation with you again, Lamtik. The war, as we know, yesterday Trump said the war was going to end soon. Of course, he couldn't specify how soon or give, specific timelines. What are your thoughts around all that's happening after almost a week or more than a week into this war?
Well, thank you. Some of us have held a view that some nations, particularly the U.S. and Israel, who are at war today against Iran, are failing to respect international law as supposed to be, because the whole world agreed per the UN Charter to subscribe to certain conditions that would be prevalent before any act of war or any aggression against any state can be taken. Now, if you observe carefully, this war is not sanctioned by the UN. There's no resolution passed, no pronouncement at the Security Council, yet US at war. Nonetheless, the war is ongoing, and it clearly tells us the reality is that there are countries that are stronger in terms of economy, in terms of their military might, that sometimes can have their way despite the entire obligations that they signed up to. The effect on some of these things are on smaller countries like Ghana and particularly Africa, where we depend a lot on the importation of crude, where we depend on other goods that are imported into our economy to support our economy. Now, naturally, you would have some effect because the supply will be affected. We will not have adequate supply because of the war, and particularly matters happening in the Middle East. What I am quite worried about is that it appears we on this side are raising the anxiety and whipping up public sentiment of a likely increment. And we are not careful, we may also create problems for people who have goods that they intend to sell, but we rather hoard it now, anticipating a price increase, and then would now put it out when the prices go up. What that may happen is that there will be an artificial shortage caused by that perception of likely increase. They are going to increase fuel here and there, and we have these speculations going on. I mean, it is right for people to anticipate some increment because of what is happening in the Middle East, which is fair. But the continuous heightened discussions about it and some unnecessary speculations is creating some uncertainty. I mean, I am happy that comments from Trump in the last 24 hours regarding the end to the war has rather brought the crude prices quickly back down again. I mean, we crossed the $100 mark.
I think it's 93 now.
And it has come down to 93.
No, but it came down before the press conference.
Really?
Yeah, it came down.
It came down.
Yeah, it went to 100,
Yes.
and then started coming down before the press conference.
Okay,
Maybe
I
the press
observe
conference.
that.
Yeah.
I did observe that, but I observed almost immediately after the press conference,
conference,
it dropped down
it dropped
to
down,
93.
yeah.
I mean, which also gives us comfort that our initial fear that prices will shoot up so high may not necessarily happen if the war will truly end soon, or at least gives us hope that we don't need to hoard. Let's continue to have hope. But it clearly also tells us that our economy is not entirely in our hands. We also suffer external factors.
What did you say? Sorry.
Leave me alone.
No, but we suffer
listen,
external
you
factors.
should appreciate that. You should appreciate that. No opportunity. I know why you are driving at, but don't worry.
You said plenty things, but
Our economy is not immune.
Just mention Russia and Ukraine.
Don't mind
And you'll be fine.
That's what you want me to say. Our economy is not immune from external factors. We are not an entirely independent, isolated
we're not
country.
an island.
We are not an island.
Really?
No, we are not.
Okay.
But
I'm listening.
there's an extent to which you can continuously blame
The
external
mileage
factors.
doesn't matter.
It matters.
Oh, okay.
It matters. I'm saying that there is an extent to which you can continuously blame external factors for what you ought to do in situations like this. I mean, we know that this, luckily for us, with what is happening in the Middle
You
East.
now know or you know?
We have always known. Always known. I've been trying to make a mass.
Doc, let him make his point.
Sorry.
Yes,
It's
Lamtic.
We've
news
always
to me.
known.
No,
We've
Lamtic,
always known.
please.
It is news to
Listen
me.
to
That's
me.
why,
Listen
sorry.
to me and listen carefully.
Why are you
It is-
trying to equalize?
Don't mind him.
Why are you trying to equalize?
See, our ability to manage the economy now will be tested now that we are having some external shocks.
These global shocks.
Exactly.
Oh.
And that is when you will see the true ability of economic management as compared to what your government did during the Ukraine-Russian war, where you blamed everything on Ukraine-Russia. Even other countries were recovering. We still suffered under Ukraine-Russian war. Excuses.
Thank you very
But
much.
Move away from it. Just have hope that the managers of the economy...
I'm always hopeful.
Oh, I'm glad you're hopeful. The managers of the economy are handling the world, and we anticipate better management going forward.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Doc, your
Yeah.
thoughts. Of course, in recent times, we've also seen some fears. Maybe, Larry, I'll come to you on the ICOMS, Gulf, Star Oil issues that have come up yesterday. But you largely agree with Lamtic on the need, of course, or not the shocks, but how we need to work together to ensure that we don't heighten the fear and also create unnecessary expectation. NPA says we have 5 weeks of reserve, but they're also looking at alternative, you know, and even now prices are coming down. So let's be hopeful rather than speculative.
You know, what Lamtic is saying is that we should be responsible in how we manage the noise concerning fuel prices or oil prices so that it doesn't cause injury to the economy. I'm in support of that. Granted, another party was not responsible with regards to some of these things and came out rather in a way that it was affecting Ghana's economy. And I say this with the greatest of respect to the NDC. And today, I'm just amazed to hear even John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, admit that some international events or activities can affect Ghana's economy. I'm humbled, and I must admit that for once, that realization by the NDC administration, for me, makes me a bit relieved that in opposition, whether it impacted us or not, in opposition, there are two forces were very, very, very sure that Ghana's resilience, Ghana's shock absorbers were so powerful that it could withstand any international fracas. So,
Did they say that?
oh, to a large extent. So I'm here today amazed that the NDC administration can admit to the fact that missiles that are several miles away from Ghana can impact Ghana's economy. That alone, for me,
I don't think we've ever run away
you
from
know,
that fact.
and let me also put on record that, in fact, at this point in time, I must be impressed with Dangote in terms of his oil refinery. And let's admit that, listen, should this thing continue, then he will be the messiah for this region in terms of refinery. And I can only even anticipate that people are trooping there in view of what is happening to see how you know, things that were going up for refinery will be done and dealt with in Africa. It's almost as if his timing for his refinery is just right. And I must admittedly, I don't know where I'll see him, commend him for that. And it begs the question.
Nigeria.
It begs the
Go
question.
to Nigeria.
There's an hour.
Oh, you know what I mean by that. It begs the question. Tamayo Refinery, all that is happening in the world, I think really talks to Ghana that we need to be a bit more serious as a nation, and we need to sit down and replan. I mean, I'm here worried about Ghanaians abroad. Once I see some of the videos, and I keep asking myself, why must we leave our country? What is it with all these resources? Why can't we plan better? So I will plead with us as Ghanaians. This calls for further introspection, and we should reduce the politicking of everything, and we need to be serious and minded.
You say we are on the right track, right? Because Tor began operations since 2018. They've started some work in that regard. They've also said by end of year we should see an increase from 28,000 barrels to 45,000.
Should I tell you why we're not in the right direction? As we sit here, forgive me, I wouldn't have brought this up. This is a national security matter. And we're in a country where all these wars are happening and we don't have a defense minister. It begs a huge question.
Are we going to fight?
Okay. No, listen, I mean, prevention and strategic decision making are not necessarily for war, but for the country's economy. And the link between your defense and economy is very strong. And I must beg that question again. Mr. President, it's been 6 months. Give us a defense minister. And mind you, I say this with the greatest of respect. There's a reason why in the Constitution these ministries are set up. And there's a reason why the powers that be are not given to entirely just the executive boss, which is the president, but then he gives to different individuals, because defense has to be traveling the world by now, making sense of what is happening, and putting Ghana in a better shape for the future.
Broja Jemfi was on ChannelOne News and said, in terms of our planning, our strategy, our defense readiness.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh, you can't.
Listen.
I can't say. You can't say that. You can't say that.
Listen,
that's unfair.
I know, bro.
You want to rephrase?
I can tell you that. I can tell you that.
Doc, do you want to rephrase?
I will not rephrase it. Let me be difficult here. I can tell you that it is very wrong for our country, in this instance, where coup d'etats are happening left, right, and center to our neighboring countries, where there's major crisis in terms of wars with the Western world, and we are here, and we do not see the importance of having somebody designated as your Minister of Defense, not President who's tiptoeing as Minister. And mind you, the presidency itself is heavy load of so many things.
You're overwhelmed.
You're overwhelmed. So please, Mr. President, with all due respect, let's skip this NDC internal wranglings. Give this country a defense minister. Because mind you, the defense minister talks to not just NDC. He needs to be briefed by even the opposition party, so that this country is always on the right footing. And I beg you, listen, you should be appreciating why the Constitution makes sure. Let me cite an example.
You have 30 seconds
30
to do
seconds. In the Americas, when Donald Trump wanted to stay in power, it was the military that told him that, Mr. President.
The General State insurrection.
Yes, they told him that we are here to defend the Constitution, not an individual. Should something happen in this country, who's your defense minister?
General Miller.
To put your president in check, please. I really think that.
Does not put the president in
no,
check.
I mean, I'm saying that there are so many factors.
You see, I think that your call for a replacement for the defense minister is right.
Thank you.
But then let's be mindful. See, systems don't run on an individual. There are systems within the defense system that allows the system to run with or without the head.
Acting-
And mind you,
acting
there's someone who
and
supervises
deputy.
that ministry.
Those
And
are
if you
not the
appreciate
same.
if you appreciate the role of the ministries very well, the ministries are not operational. Ministries generally are policy makers, policy implementers, policy
Not with
initiators.
defense.
Even with defense.
I mean,
Come
to
on, no
some extent.
defense minister ever goes to the battlefield. No defense minister ever designs battle strategies. It is the
They are
generals.
policy wankers.
It is, yes, the generals and the heads of the various military arms are the ones who implement military decisions, who take up military decisions. What happens with ministry is that they provide policy directions, guide the technocrat in taking up those policy decisions, implementing them. The
Are you telling
absence.
me that we don't need all the ministers?
I never say we don't need them. I mean, and I appreciate this. I'm saying that the absence of the minister
It's
does
troublesome.
not take away the
It is
it doesn't
troublesome.
make the entire ministry
Redundant.
inactive
And affect the day-to-day operations.
See,
It affects
there
it.
is a deputy minister who is effectively on the ground, and I think your
And there's
your
an
comment
there's an acting minister.
exactly, and your comment
The
about him,
authorities are not the same.
your comment about him is very unfortunate. I think you should withdraw that. But that
Which
if
one?
you decide not
Which
to
one?
withdraw, I will not
Which one?
repeat it.
Which one?
I will not repeat it. But let me
Oh,
tell you, and I will not
remind me.
repeat it. I mean, it's
Remind me.
sinful to
The
do
one in
that.
reference to Broja.
Yeah, it's sinful to do that. I won't do that. But see,
okay.
Doc, are you minded to rephrase?
yes.
Let me
your-
rephrase. My key point is that, listen, there are limitations to what a deputy minister of defense can
It's
do.
Thank you very
appreciated.
much.
But I don't
And there
think he
are also
doesn't know
limitations
what
to
he's
what
about.
the acting person can do by virtue of the time constraints on the
Lamptey,
finance minister.
Your clarification was well in place. Let me come
So
to you.
give us a defense minister, please,
Larry,
Mr. President.
Doc has brought out the security implications of this war, right? We're talking about it from a full point of view. He's raised security concerns. But I just want
It's a
you.
national security matter.
Thank you very much. I just want you to take us back to all that you've seen play out locally in recent times. Star Oil, Guel, raising concerns around, some disruptions within the supply chain. ICOMs have also been mentioned. What's really happening, right? And is it a cause for alarm?
Yeah, obviously, we all need to sit up. Okay. If the point about the people trying to create artificial shortages just to raise revenue, I mean, that is unfortunate. You get it. Prices. First of all, the commodity has to be around for the enjoyment of everyone. But if it's being, stifled along the, along the line, you have God talking, you have Star Oil also raising issues, and then the Coma also drawing our attention to a particular institution. That is the ICOM.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then somebody has to be, to be talking to us as to why we are getting that into that situation. Having said that, Dangote, Dixon mentioned, much as is the messiah in this, region, he's also having issues back in Nigeria. He's not getting the quantity of cargo that he's requiring, okay, to service the Nigerian market, and then service, other countries, especially Ghana and others. So I mean, we need something drastic has to be.
Some rethinking.
Okay, thank you. Let me use your word. So some rethinking has to be happening. Energy minister has to be talking. It doesn't, not necessarily defense minister. It's unfortunate that till now we don't have a defense minister.
6 months.
We agree with Doc largely.
I mean,
we don't. Nobody is running away.
nobody's running away from that.
But we don't want it to look like it's
Yeah.
the ministry is redundant.
And you don't want the
But why do we hear more of the defense and less of the lands ministry?
what the lands exactly not lands
Environment.
Yeah,
Sorry.
minister.
Environment. Sorry.
Well, they are using it for their own, their political.
Listen,
Yeah.
I think,
because with what is happening with Galamsey,
Yeah.
that should also be.
it's even
It's
also
equally important.
The Galamsey issue, defense is also there. These guys are wielding weapons that
In
our
fact,
police,
the
our police
two,
don't
the
even
two,
have.
the two, and may they are so rest in peace, perished because they were responding to a Galamsey call.
The 8.
The 8 of them.
Yeah.
Well, we'll take a quick break. Like when we come back, I'll come back to you. So
Mr. President should give us a defense finish.
I think the point has been well made. Across the table,
He wants,
they
they
want
want
to
to
agree.
generate
It's
at
just
least
mischievous.
Yeah.
No.
We'll go on a quick break. When we're back, there's a lot more right here on Breakfast Daily. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily. My name is Jude Duncan, sitting in for your regular host, Nana Tufo Boateng. We are having a discussion on the ongoing Middle East tensions, which you can say, has also become a security conversation. We'll bring you some of your messages you've sent pretty shortly on the show. We'll be moving on to the second conversation, or another conversation, let me say. Government is banning rice, and some other items from coming to the country from our land borders. Is this even necessary? What are the reasons? What's government's motive and thinking behind this? My panel will delve into this particular conversation. But Larry, in 30 seconds, you were making a point on...
Make it 1 minute.
45 seconds. That's a good compromise.
So I think that a bit about Russia, Ukraine, and whether or not President Mahama is looking for an excuse, okay, or whether he could also use what is happening in the Gulf to more like
Equalize.
Yeah, equalize. I think that it doesn't apply. You know why? In the case of what's happening, what is happening in Russia and Ukraine. I mean, what is the biggest commodity we get from there?
The grains.
The wheat was mentioned.
Okay.
That's flour.
Exactly. It's not, I mean, during that time, we had alternatives. People made argument, for that. And that what is the alternative? To a point where every now and then it was Russia and Ukraine. And then they added COVID. Where people were like, listen, countries had even, gotten away from COVID long.
But for a month, the world came to a standstill.
It's not about it. I'm saying that after that, during that
2
time,
years.
yes, during that time, I mean, Russia and Ukraine or COVID was used as an excuse, people bought into it.
Yeah.
But subsequently, I mean, even legislation, taxes were even collected in the name of, COVID.
levy.
And even Russia and Ukraine. That is what we were dealing with. Now, compare that situation to what is happening in the Gulf, where, major oil channels, over 30% or 31%,
21%.
21%,
The Strait of Hormuz.
okay, true, has been blocked. Oil that most factories, including the one that is supposed to even process the flour that we were getting,
Larry.
yes,
Maybe the Dangote.
yes, and even the Dangote we are talking about. So there are two separate issues. You get it? Globally, everybody is talking about, the point that you are buying, Nigeria is buying everywhere. We are buying oil. Without the oil, nothing will run. So there are two separate issues altogether. We can't compare what happened in Russia or what is happening to what is happening in
Thank
the
you very
Strait of
much.
Hormuz.
Amazing. And on that note, we'll move on to our next conversation. And the citynewsroom.com is reporting, story by Isaac Appiah-Kubi, government bans land transit of sugar, flour, and textiles. And excerpts, very brief excerpts read, Keselato Forson, Ghana's finance minister, has directed an immediate ban on the land transit of selected imported goods through the country's borders in a move aimed at tightening customs controls and safeguarding government revenue. The directive was issued after a meeting on Monday, March 9, with the acting Commissioner of Customs, Aaron Akano, and the management of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. The story goes on to say the measure forms part of broader efforts to address emerging challenges at Ghana's entry points and reduce revenue leakages. Under the new policy, several commonly traded products will no longer be permitted to enter or transit through Ghana's land borders. Instead, they must be routed exclusively through the country's seaports, where authorities say monitoring and valuation processes are more robust. And of course, there's some background to this, where somewhere last week, some rice, were diverted through a Akano border, Togo border, Akanu border.
The
The Akanu border. And of course, it led to some reassignments at the customs and all of that. Who do I start with? I don't know. Let me come to
Go to the
If it's been offered to me,
as our chief security correspondent for the day.
But let's find out what.
I think he's lobbying for the
The position.
Oh, they are cutting some deals over there. Are you cutting some deal?
0 deals.
Are you sure?
So
It's all for Ghana.
from defense ministry to customs, right?
It's all for Ghana.
Maybe you should defect.
To what?
Defect from MPP to
the umbrella.
NDC.
And come into the
They will give you.
I'm here for Ghana.
so
Yeah.
Back to our key point. I think that I agree with the finance minister. Leakages cost us as a nation, and any conniving or orchestration to redirect things that had come to Ghana through our seaport to another country for re-entry is bad. It cuts down on government revenue, and for that reason, I am in support of any arrangement to reduce the leakages. And more importantly, I think that this has many implications. Mind you, one of our problems in this country is traceability of everything or anything. And if your country is not good on tracing matters, for all you know, the integrity of even the product, once it leaves the shores of Ghana into another country, that transit, anything can happen. I mean, you, even the buyer or seller, things that enter Nigeria as paracetamol can leave Nigeria as, maize, even within our own shores. We've had powder turn into kokonte within a matter of moments. So I think that certainly once we intend to produce some level of rice for our institutions in this country, namely buffer stock for the onward usage by schools, then tracking and tracing of these grains are very, very important. So I'm in support of it, and I think that Ghana's customs, and my mind is taken aback to Ejata Mills. I think that when he wept, by virtue of the fact that he made it so clear that people go into customs and overnight they are multi-millionaires, and that needs to be checked at the expense of those who are importing or exporting
For the greater good of everybody.
good of the country. So and I also think that these numbers matter a lot for your GDP, and that is why I think that I'm grateful that the finance minister sees it as very important, because when you're doing your GDP and a whole chunk of your GDP is rather shown to be going into Togoland, as was happening with cocoa, where Ghana would produce cocoa, and because of the prices being good, Ghanaian farmers would rather export the cocoa to Togo or Ivory Coast for onward going, and it dropped the tonnage of cocoa leaving Ghana shores. So these are leakages, and as they are doing for gold, it is in the right order that they are doing it for the likes of sugar and the likes of rice. Once I said
Flying
gold,
textiles.
you say that I'm going into.
Your
so I
point
won't go there.
Your point has
I won't
your
go
point
there.
has
I won't go there.
Yeah.
So I think it's in the right order.
Amazing. Lamti.
Well, I think that the job at Forcing his team are doing is very fantastic. I mean, they sit at the top and see the figures and are able to identify where the leakages are. I am happy that they have come out with this ban. It will help us in a long way to block the leakages. What we have observed is that goods come in as transit goods and end up in the market. And because they are transit goods, the amounts of tax that's supposed to be imposed and charged on these goods are lesser. And then these people find a way to put them on the market, and they make so much money at the expense of the state. Now, this gives us a good opportunity to block that. But my fear here is that if we are not careful, the impression created out there is that government has banned the importation of rice, oil, and some goods, because people don't
Read
really
behind the
read
headlines.
behind the headlines and even appreciate the fact that it is goods in transit that has been banned and not the importation of these goods. Very soon you will find bread sellers selling bread at a higher price, saying, now you're not getting flour to buy because government has banned the importation of flour, chicken, rice, oil, and others. But that's not the case. The reality is that we still can import as much as we want, but if it is meant for transit, and this is happening more because we find some landlocked countries like Burkina, Niger, Mali, using our country as a transit point to have their goods taken up. And some people in connivance with custom officers have managed to use that system to allow it. What is even more important to hear is that the minister has called for a re-centralization of the valuation system at the customs. That will help to improve the tax processes at the customs and clearing point, so that at least we will not find other ways to still go ahead and exploit the system. We are hoping that the ban will not just end there, that there will be a continuous review of the process, so that if there's a need for a change in the decisions, we will do so, at least for the benefit of everybody. Because just imagine how much we lost from those 38 trucks that were seized.
The rice.
Yes. Oh, close to 98 million, I'm told. Out. 98 million is about 20 or more district assemblies' entire revenue for the year.
Wow.
Some of them don't even make up to that.
Even
Some don't make up to.
even the stadiums
Yes.
that we need.
Exactly.
Like the Nkoko Stadium.
Like the Bolga Airport, perhaps.
Or Salagogu Dam.
So, or they want to go to Palugu. You'll not go there. So, I mean, it tells you that all those monies could have been channeled into useful ventures for the benefit of all of us. I mean, our schools, our hospitals, our roads, we need money. I mean, there are times the Ghana government goes to sign loan agreement for 50 million. And so if you can imagine that 98 million is just going in the hands of private persons, it is a call for,
Thank you very much, Lamtig Apanga. Let me come to you. Do you not sense that this could also affect our international relations with our neighboring countries? You know, there's a war ongoing. There are calls for us to now work together. You know, free trade has become a very, very big conversation. Now, all of a sudden, you are banning transit goods. Again, people have also said, let's not throw away the baby let's not throw the bathwater with the baby, right? Why not put in place robust systems to plug the few nefarious ones rather than an outright ban?
Isn't this thing tax dodging?
Evasion.
Yeah,
Tax
evasion.
evasion.
Okay. So instead of coming through Ghana, you rather go through free port.
You still come through Ghana, but
Yes, exactly. And
claim.
and hit the road. Okay.
And the goods end up here.
And then the goods end up here. Okay. I don't think that our neighboring,
Spiritual importation.
I like that term. But there are some who may be genuinely in the business of it, right? Where it's mainly for transit.
Well, sure, that is possible. Okay. However, no proper explanation has been provided for this current thing. I mean, we published the name of the company that was involved in this. Now, the address of the company, instead of, being a Nigerian, address, the address was in Sakumono. Was at Sakumono. P.O. Box something. It's Sakumono. You get it? So, I mean, if the goods is going to end up in Dixon's hometown, I mean, Dixon should be the consignee. But that wasn't the case. And so then there was something fishy. In all through, as I'm saying, we haven't had an official of that company stepping out to say that, listen, hey, I own the goods.
National security is.
Yes, it's supposed to, go to, Mrs. Abdullah somewhere in Niger. and then we would have been told why it was here. In any case, from the Akanu border to where the these goods were intercepted. I mean, there's various customs stops.
They were drinking tea.
we don't know that for a fact.
You get it? There were supposed to be custom officials on board some of the vehicles.
And this is through successive governments.
Well, I mean, let's deal with this. We are dealing with with this particular incident. We're supposed to have custom officials on board. I mean, we didn't see them. Now, some officials were interdicted. Again, the Minister of Finance or the GRA or the custom itself haven't given us any the pictures of these individuals, their names and so on. They just said, oh, listen, this number of people have been interdicted. Chief, how do I work with that? How do you prevent this from happening? How do you deter others? Now listen, when you do this, these are the things you're going to do. It is not for anything that, I mean, security establishments the world over, the Americans do that a lot. They will take pictures of you. So then they have it in the system. The fact that they've even taken a picture of you, I mean, gives you a certain psychological, you go through some traumatic experience. That one day, it could be put in there. Others will be deterred from doing a similar thing. But in our case, we are comfortable, or state officials are comfortable by telling us that, oh, you know something, 2 people have been interdicted, 3, without you knowing them.
We want to know.
The next moment, I know a certain incident where somebody committed an offense somewhere in ECG. The next moment, this guy had been employed at the Energy Commission. Okay? With all the, stories, exactly. He's there, comfortable.
Some also did bad banking, and they are now at Bank of Ghana.
Yo.
I'll tell you about that.
Okay. So, you see, who are we deterring? Who are we deterring? I mean, this amount of money, do you know the number of schools it could build? Do we know how, it could take water to a certain community that is struggling for water? We're just reading about somewhere in the north where people, at this day and age, they are sharing water with cattle. Bruley Osa, I mean, is back. Elephantiasis is being reported all over the place. Guinea worm is all over. Cholera is just knocking on our doorstep. And this is what state officials are doing. People who wanted jobs that they couldn't get, and they had to go through all manner of things to get a job. The next moment, this is what they are denying the country of.
So transparency is necessary.
It's missing in most of it. And the current NDC, I mean, I'm having difficulty with their retributive spirit. You are not getting it. They are too forgiving. And when you forgive, listen, the MPP lost the election the way they lost because people thought that others had to be punished for the wrong that they have committed against this country.
Do you agree?
But, they're dancing around crime. They're dancing around suspected, infractions and so on.
Are you too easy on suspected corruption?
They should become they should join the Catholic Church.
I don't think
they should go to the Vatican.
They should go to the Vatican.
Perhaps what we are failing to appreciate is that the days of PNDC are over, where you can push people to the tribunals and just within a few days you throw them behind bars. These days we have rule of law. There are processes that you need to
constitutional
follow.
Democracy.
Exactly. I mean, the same persons who are calling for prosecutions will be the same persons crying against human rights abuses. And you don't want a situation where you would unfairly try someone and throw the person behind that.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
The processes,
procedure. If you are being abusive, people know that this one, the way you are doing it, that is not what is supposed to be done. Okay, rule of law has a certain basic tenet. Okay,
like using bail conditions that are exorbitant.
No, for bail conditions, you should appreciate that bail conditions always have some relation with the alleged crime, and the amount involved.
Somebody, what you call it, the ambulance guy. People, I mean, misbehaved. The guy died and so on. What we're saying is, 2 people have been interdicted. Who they are, I mean, what, department.
So transparency is part of the process.
Oh, but
how
I
do
think
you
in the
correct
I
people
think in the
with
Kolebu case,
Ombudsman.
they put the names and of
They
the doctor
didn't.
and the
I have
trainers
not
and
seen
stuff.
it in the media.
They didn't.
I have not seen it in the
The only
media.
mention certain Dr. Nkrumah. But even
Yes.
the statement didn't show. I can't do with all the spirits that he deployed. Prior to the election, something that got him the position. He should be there. Mention the person's name. After that, if he's exonerated, you write that. Listen, the guy has been cleared of whatever thing he's done. But we are not getting that. And another person will do it. Another person will do it. Then whatever corrective measure, the resetting that was promised, becomes a fiasco.
Wow, well noted. Thank you. Across the table, I think the point is that we should do more in the fight against corruption. And on this particular
And
customs
give
case,
us a defense minister.
and on this particular customs case, it's a step in the right direction. Government's efforts to curb the leakages in terms of our revenue. I'll finally end with this. Electricity Company of Ghana, right? ECG, always in the news. Usually for
the wrong
sometimes
reasons.
not so good reasons. Very recently, the tariffs have become an issue, right? The metering system has also become very, very, concerning. The metering system for a lot of Ghanaians. Apparently, they call it Usain Bolt. I didn't even know.
It's been running.
But 10 have been arrested over stolen cables. Maybe 30 seconds each, then we wrap the show.
It's a recurring issue with regards to, people going after electrical related items. Let's draw attention to even the Ofanko Pokwasi Road, where nails are being also taken for scraps. I mean, these are things that needs to be checked. And I think Akwaje interchange, I also saw a video of somebody even taking metal rails. I mean, these are troublesome, and there are bad characters in this country.
Is it the Colbert issues?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I think government needs to be up and doing and be on the alert to replace some of these things also. But ECG, as for the
Systemic.
meters, the meters are killing us. And I think they need to look into that.
I mean, we have seen in the last few years that ECG has been underperforming, and we know for sure that one of the reasons for underperformance is also because of the theft and illegal actions or conduct going on within that circle. And I'm happy that at least some arrests have been made. But we hope to see that this arrest will not just end at arrest. There will be prosecutions. I mean, I understand there are some foreign nationals involved, some Chinese or some other persons involved. Listen, let's deal with them as harsh as possible. The worry here is that it is not a crime just against ECG. It's against the entire Ghana.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the failures or underperformance of ECG is passed on us. We pay levies, we pay high tariffs because EC is unable to meet its expectations. And so eventually the rest of us pay for it. So if persons like this are arrested, I would expect that they are dealt with and dealt with as strong, as harsh as possible, to serve as a deterrent to others, and also to let people know that we will not countenance some of this.
Strong. I like that. Larry.
What are we expecting? When we don't have we don't produce iron ore in this country. Yet we have, companies that are supposed to be. Yes, smelters. Do you understand? We have issues like that. When we don't produce, do we produce?
Scrap dealers.
Yeah, we have scrap dealers stealing everything. You wire your home, and then the next moment, a construction site, and then you have somebody storm the place, remove all the wires, and then goes to sell it. You get it? I mean, we need to regulate what we do. I mean, these factories can't just be there. And then, I mean, every now and then they are exporting one thing or the other. But where it is that they are getting their goods from, we don't care. So long as they pay the needed taxes or revenues and so on, we take our money, off we go.
Good to go.
Yes, people will suffer. And we are suffering. We construct roads and then cover them with this metal whatever. The gutters. The next woman, somebody.
The real owners.
Yeah, exactly. The real owners are, going to remove them. And we're supposed to be living with it. But I see, I keep saying, the fact that punishment is missing, the Famanyame syndrome, we've taken it too far.
Let me admit that the Pokwase Awoshi Road, street lights, people go cutting the cables.
Yeah.
And that's why that road is very dark.
So we'll call on law enforcement to also do
We
their
fix
bit.
the solar. The next
to-
moment, you know, the real owners. People will come and mount vehicles
that
and
the real
remove it
owners?
and off they go.
Wow, thank you so much, gentlemen. I have Dr. Dixon Adomako Kisi, former member of parliament for Anya Soto. For purposes of the show today, was our security
They aspiring.
Lamtik Apanga, acting deputy CEO, Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Aspiring MP.
And of course, Larry Dogbe, managing editor, the Herald newspaper. Grateful for your time and your insights this morning, gentlemen. That's all time will allow us for our news review discussion on Breakfast Daily. My name is Jude Duncan, sitting for Nana to 4 Boatin. Catch you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.